What's up, guys? So I want to make a quick video just kind of talking about the clean and jerk and the snatch and really just like the terminology behind it all, because I know for beginners that's where it gets really confusing, and even some of the veterans, I know I still get these questions all the time. So hopefully this video will just kind of help sum those things up and kind of all the different types of snatches and clean and jerks that are out there, and hopefully this kind of helps understand this. Okay, so think of the snatch and the clean and jerk as kind of the top of the pyramid, okay? And I'm gonna make this like a nice triangle here. Okay, so the snatch is kind of the broad term of that. Now below that, there could be more specific types. There could be a squat, and there could be a power, okay? And a squat, obviously we're gonna go through a full squat, and in this scenario, it's going to be an overhead squat, because the snatch we finish overhead with a wide grip. So if we're going through a squat snatch, we'd be going through an overhead squat since the bar is overhead. Now the power snatch, we're just going to kind of catch it in roughly like a quarter squat. Really anything above a squat is considered power, but just think of it as like a quarter squat, okay? So when you look at this, this is basically where you catch the weight, okay? This kind of section here. So it's where you finish or where you catch the weight and kind of what you do once you get to the top of the movement, okay? Now, this next section is going to be where you start. So all this is adding hang to it, okay? So you've seen that terminology, hang snatch, or hang squat snatch, or hang power snatch, okay? So the hang is just referring to where you start. Okay. Now, if you don't see the terminology hang written anywhere in the word, that means the weight starts on the ground, period. No questions asked. That doesn't mean it's a power snatch, because you can start from the ground and be on a squat snatch. I get that question a lot, like, oh, it's power, so that means it's from the ground. Well, no. As long as it doesn't say hang, that means it starts from the ground. But if you see the word hang, that means it starts above the knees. So with a snatch of any kind, okay, if I was doing a hang, I'd obviously have my wide grip because it's a snatch. I would stand the weight off the ground first and establish my hang. And then from there, I can lower it if I need to get momentum on it, but it has to stay above my knees. And then I would proceed to do my reps, bring it back down to the thighs, keeping it above the knees and repeating. And if for any reason I had to take a break and put the bar down on the ground, my next rep, I would start by standing up, establishing the hang, and just like my first rep I would do, and I would repeat that way, okay? If I did not do that and I just pulled it off the ground, well, you took the hang out of it, and now it's just, you know, not a hang snatch of any kind, okay? So to be more clear, there's basically, you can add the hang to either one of these two options, okay? So it could be a hang squat snatch, which means I would start from above the knees, establish my hang, and then I would go through my overhead squat. So it would be a squat snatch, okay? Or I could do a hang power snatch. Okay, again, same concept, except now I'm going to only go a quarter squat when I catch the weight. Okay, does that make sense? So the snatch is kind of a broad term. So sometimes you might see just do 15 snatches. Okay, you might see that. And people ask all the time, well, do I have to squat or not? Well, since we're not specifying that you have to squat by saying 15 squat snatches, for instance, just assume that you don't have to squat, because we will tell you, and we will physically write it out every single time if we want you to do a squat. So we would say 15 squat snatches. Same thing with the hang. If you don't see that word, that means you always start from the ground. We will always write hang snatch, or hang squat snatch, or hang power snatch when we want you to start above the knees. Does that make sense? So think of this the same way, okay, for the clean, okay? So let me just replace snatch with clean, and everything stays the same, okay, because they're brother and sister. A lot of their technique and points of performance is very similar. They're brother and sister, okay? And that's why this looks exactly the same. So now it's the same concept. Clean is the broad term, okay? Now the clean versus the snatch we catch overhead. The clean is when we catch the bar at the shoulders. So that will change the squat. That will be actually a front squat. So front squat is again when the bar's on the front of the shoulders and you squat through. So if I did a squat clean, that means I would start from the ground because it's not a hang, and I would go through my squat, stand it up, okay? That would be a squat clean. Same thing, power clean, from the ground to the shoulders, only catching in a quarter squat this time, okay? And then same concept, do it from the hang, establish the hang, and then I can do a squat clean or power clean. Now we actually see hang cleans a lot, like we tend not to write hang power cleans as much to be specific, but again, since we're not specifying, so if we're doing hang cleans, since we're not specifying what type of clean it is, assume it's power, okay? We will write hang squat clean if we wanted you to squat. Remember that. You always write that stuff out that we want you to do. If not, assume you don't have to. Does that make sense? Now, the only other piece to this is when we say clean and jerk. So that's adding the second movement to it, which is still one movement, but it's two movements combined. Again, kind of confusing, but let's just put this out here. If I said I want you to do a clean and jerk, okay? 15 clean and jerks. Okay? If we say that, again, I did not specify what type of clean it is. What does that mean? It's a power clean. Okay? And since I did not specify it's from the hang, that means it's from the ground. Okay? If I said hang, clean, and jerk, that means you'd start above the knees, but since it doesn't say hang, it's from the ground to the shoulders. Okay? And then we're adding the jerk. Any sort of jerk. And again, the jerk is from shoulders to overhead, okay? So anytime I finish any sort of one of these cleans, whatever style it is, the bar finishes on the shoulders and I'm done with my movement. So now I'm ready to do my jerk overhead. So hopefully that clears everything up and makes it a little simpler. I know it's confusing. I know it helps just to kind of do the movements. Experience always helps, but hopefully that helps.